What's up, guys? Jason Guyman here with Christmas Lights, and tonight I've got some really cool guests on here, and we're going to get talking about what we actually got a couple things we're going to talk about. One is getting ready for the season. Are you ready for the season? Because I don't know if you know it, but the season is coming fast, and I mean fast. And so this is something that if you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching this, please share this out to all your friends and any groups that you might want to. But again, tonight we're going to talk about that. And the next thing we're going to talk about is probably one of the hardest things to do. This is probably one of the hardest things to do in the Christmas light business, and in business in general. And we're going to hit on that because Casey's in this transition point of this point. So that's what we're going to hit on it. And that would be getting off of the truck. Getting off the truck is probably, I always say in business, there's always two things that are hard to do. One is to quit your full-time job and do this full-time, and two is to get off the truck. So with that, again, I'm just going to throw this out here. I do have some in-person training classes coming up. I got one with Casey. We got one down in Indianapolis with Casey. We got one down in Charlotte with Dan and Lindy. They're about crazy. We got one coming up with Jennifer and Jeremy, who Pink Pro Wash, who was literally a garbage man 4 years ago. They're going to do over $1 million in pressure washing and Christmas lights. And so I have lots of classes coming up. There's a permanent lighting class coming up in Utah. So there's lots of opportunity to do the permanent lighting and Christmas lights out there. So before we get started, don't forget that take action. That is the number one most important thing you can do in this business is take action. So the things that we're going to talk about are basically the things that you need to start taking action now. A lot of times we're like, oh, I got to October. Oh, I got to November. And when those times come, you will be like, well, I guess I'm not going to do that. So let's see who we got in the room. We'll start off with Dustin. Dustin, just tell us just a 2-second who you are, where you're from, so that way people know who you are and where you're from if they don't already.
Yeah, Dustin with Lights at Wholesale. I run a Christmas light installation business as well called Bright Lights, and been in the business over 20 years, and love to teach people how to run a business and help them out. So.
Awesome. And then we got Casey. Where are you from? And just tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and how you kind of got started a little bit.
Yeah, well, Casey here. I'm from Indianapolis, born and raised. We started a business in 2016, just cleaning windows and gutters. I'd worked for somebody prior, did that for a couple years. 2 weeks into it, I thought, I'm going to do this myself one day. And then I did. So we started in 2016. And then like anybody that has a seasonal business, wintertime got slow. So we had to figure out how we're going to pay our bills, how we're going to make some money. So we kind of dabbled in Christmas lights. We started hanging Christmas lights like Homeowner-Provided from Lowe's and Home Depot, and it was an absolute nightmare. So in 2017, we started really looking into it, and we stumbled across some of these groups that I had no idea that custom Christmas lighting was a thing. So I dabbled into it, bought a couple $1,000s worth of supplies. My very first job I ever landed was a $2,400 job in a really wealthy community, and I was hooked. I was like, wow, like I didn't even know what I was doing. And this was at $5 a foot back then in 2017. So, I fell in love with it. And so we've just kind of been snowballing and growing and growing and growing to where we are now. So we still run exterior cleaning company, pressure washing, gutter cleaning, window cleaning, roof washing, all that stuff. And then we also do some landscape lighting, permanent lighting, and Christmas lighting.
Awesome. So when you first started, did you think that you would be hanging Christmas lights and making that as a part of more fun than doing the window cleaning?
Well, even before I got into the custom lights,
Yes,
I honestly, for my old boss, we did it the same way. We hung customer provided lights. I mean, we would do like a 35-foot pine tree. They would supply the lights, and we charge like $100 to do that thing. And it'd take us like 3 hours. And I was like, I'm never doing this. This is silly. And I started my own business, and then winter came around, and I was like, well, I do got to make some money. So we went about that and did that. And then, like I said, I just stumbled upon a group and a couple people talking about it. And so I started doing my research, and I had no idea this market was as big as it was and as fun as it is. So it's been
And it
great.
is a lot of fun. And so,
Yep.
if you guys that are joining on, I see we already got almost 40 people in here. If you can like it, share it, that helps us out. Also, if you got any questions, that we will get to those questions. I'll be monitoring the questions. So if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So the first thing is what so Dustin's been doing this forever. He's been doing it for almost over 2 decades. And so I'm going to ask him this first question of what do you do to prepare for the season? Now, with that said, I just want to put out there, how many installs have you already installed so far in the last, 2 weeks or last week and a half?
Yeah, so we've started last week in August, last week of August, and we have done. I mean, I don't know the exact amount, but probably about 200 already. So 200 homes. But yeah, we have to start early because we do a lot of jobs. But the thing that I would say to prepare, and as you guys get bigger, you're going to be preparing right after you get done taking down lights. So if you're smart, you're going to prepare. You're not going to wait, like Jason said earlier, you're not going to wait until, oh, I need a, I have a month before we hang Christmas lights. Let's start getting things rolling. So you're going to prepare. So what we do is I'll have all my guys write down while they're working things that we can improve for next year. So they're texting me all the things, and we put it in a little Word document, and we go over all those things, how we can improve it for next year. So I always tell my employees that every year is going to get better and better. And they love to hear that. Employees do not want it just to be like the same or worse every year. They want it to get better and better. So I ask them, as we're doing Christmas lights throughout the year, they always come up with ideas while they're doing the work. So we put all that information and try to implement it the next year. So that's what the first thing I would do is start when you're doing it. Even start right now. If you don't have quite enough time to implement it this year, put it down so next year, right after you get done taking down lights, you start implementing things. So that's the first thing.
I would agree with that 100%. What's your thoughts on this, Casey, of what should someone do first to be prepared for next or for this season?
Yeah, I mean, if you're first starting out, or if you've already kind of been in it for a couple seasons, like we're going through totes, we're making sure lights are working, making sure everything's in there, that they're clean. We're going to start staging our totes and stuff like that for our guys to start putting on the trailers and take out. But the biggest thing, it's really important for us, is as big as we are. So we like to prepare thousands of feet of lights prior to our installs. If you're just starting out, you might probably bulb and clip on site, which is totally fine. But there are better things you can do with your time when you're on site. If you're on site, uh, you want to get in and out fairly quickly because you've got more jobs to do. So in your spare time, your guys are kind of hanging around, or don't have anything to do. Bulb and clip every day. Give them each, say, 200 bulbs. Bulb and clip, 200 feet. Get a spool done a day. That's what we do. We like to have about 10,000 feet prepared before we start the season.
Yeah.
And that's usually never enough. I mean, that's just the start. So that's the
So
big.
one of the things that I agree 100%, bulbing and clipping is definitely important to do it now versus waiting to the season. Not to say that you can't get a stay-at-home mom, or if you got some kids that need to maybe get them to work a little bit, that's another thing that you can also give them to do that too. One of the things I'd say, one of the first things that if you've been in business and this ain't your first year and you've got a pretty good customer, is to get the client, start communicating with the clients now, getting those deposits, getting it ready to go. So this way you can confirm appointments. Hey, we're going to be start hanging lights and we're going to be in your area this time of year or this month, this week. I wouldn't say this day, but at least give them a week type of opening of doing it. Because if you don't, and I know some people that you might have 100 clients right now, and you really need to get them done in October, so that way when you go in November you have a full open ready to do new installs. And so even when I had my business, we started about the first week of October and we had all our clients up by the end of October. So November come, all our marketing efforts were kicking in, and that was a way that we were able to get new clients every year and keep growing. And so that's not something that has changed. Even as many clients as Dustin has, you still get them all done in October, correct? So that way
Yeah.
November you can have full open schedule.
Yep, that's always the goal. And I totally agree with Casey. One thing that we do as well is we'll look at how many jobs we sold and how many feet we used per color. And that gives us an idea of what we're going to use next year. And I kind of look at the past 2 years to see if there's a trend going either way. Because if you have like a 2, 3 year mark, we usually just do two. It tells us, hey, this is growing a lot or whatever. But and then we kind of look at how much we're planning on growing that year. If we're planning on growing 25%, we'll make 25% more in that. And so that way we're not rush into trying to get those bulbs made. So we kind of get everything pre-strung, pre-bulbed, and then we don't have to worry about it because there's always going to be different things that we have to make anyways with different patterns and stuff like that. But that really helps us out, what Casey said. And yeah, and another thing was to start making sure that your guys are prepped and ready to go as well. So a lot of you guys have these pressure washing vehicles or window cleaner or whatever. So just make sure everything's ready to go, that you can make sure everybody has what they need to have. We have a checkoff list to make sure we have everything for each truck. It seems every year it does not matter, the guys lose stuff. So instead of waiting until, again, short term, you're just like, oh, where's this? Where's it? It just, everybody always blames on someone else.
And
Oh,
also, I would
okay.
I would say on that too of making sure the vehicles are maintenance, the oil's changed, the brakes are
Yeah,
done, because that's if you the last thing you want to do is be breaking down because you didn't do the maintenance on it. You didn't check your ladders, you didn't make sure that you didn't know that the guy dropped the ladder and now it's got looks like a dog leg out there. So you want to make sure that you're checking all of that so that way when it's ready to go, you're ready to go.
exactly. Yeah. So there's always something to get done. So I was talking to a guy about Christmas lights today, and was kind of telling some of the numbers, and he's blown away because, like in the painting field, he says he owns a very successful painting company, and he only makes, I mean, which is not, I should say only, but he tries to get $85 per man hour, and I'm like, you can make a lot more than that with Christmas lights, and he really wasn't believing me. He's like, really? Are you serious? He's like, I mean, I don't know. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's why a lot of people want to get out of everything else. Like Casey even got excited for his first job. He's like, well, $2,500 here. You
Yeah.
try to, everybody's like, what, how can I just do lights year round? That's what we really want to do because that's where the money's at. So,
Yeah.
Hey, Dustin, we need your Mormon friends to make Christmas lights go all year long, so that way we can get it going across the country. So,
yeah, you never know. It's starting now with the permanent lights. It's going, it's kind of spreading out a little bit by little bit. So,
so I want to hit a little bit something else that I want to back up to what you said of trends. Do you see, especially because where you sell lights and you can kind of see the trends there, do you see any trends coming out this year that might be a little bit different?
um, the biggest thing that I see right now is that the permanent light is growing big. Like we are selling a lot of that stuff, at least in our area, and a lot of people in different states they're blowing it up. So I see that, and it hasn't really hit a lot of places. Again, the guy that I talked to today was from Pittsburgh, and he's like, I do see a little bit, but he's like, nobody really still knows about that kind of stuff. So he didn't want to get in the permanent lights, but I see that's really the biggest trend. So I think that's going to take some of the Christmas light industry away. But on the other hand, I think in some ways it makes it bigger because people see lights more often. So again, I think for the most part, it's just more of the permanent light side. But I think Christmas lights is still going to be very popular. We're still getting a lot of bids, still getting a lot of people calling that want regular Christmas lights, because a lot of people don't like permanent lights either. It doesn't look like Christmas, right? So
Right. I agree 100%. I mean, some people just like the old fashioned bulbs, right?
yeah.
The old Christmas light look. So what so another thing obviously is you got to make sure that you got your yard signs and your marketing ready to go. So I got some permanent light signs here. We're going to try and see how they're going to work this year. I got DJ signs also, so just Christmas lights. But this is the time to make sure that you get this. Now, I see a lot of times, and you guys know that I'm big in marketing. Most everybody on here knows that I'm big in marketing and love marketing because that's what really grows your business. Unless you're like Dustin's, where you can just get referrals after you've been in it for 20 years, and you just get the referrals at that point. But if you're just starting out, don't expect to get a couple hundred referrals right out of the get go because that just doesn't happen. Um, Casey, you've been doing it since 2017. You're probably getting a lot of referrals out of this business because you've got a large customer list and you've been doing it for what, almost 7 years now. So
Yeah.
it's going to get bigger and bigger as you do that. And so you want to make sure your marketing is ready to go. I see a lot of times you'll get shiny syndromes and people will be like, "Ooh, door hangers. I'm going to go get door hangers," or "Ooh, I'm going to go do EDDM is probably one of the biggest ones. That stuff takes time, and if you just send EDDM once, it's not going to work. So you got to send it 3-4 times. It's got to go to the same customers. You got to have the right offer. You got to have the right picture. You got to have all the right stuff to make sure that works. So I want to jump over to Casey. Casey, as you were growing your business, what was probably one of the best lead sources that you had to grow your Christmas light business?
When we started uh, back then, Nextdoor was free. Like you could use Nextdoor, get on there, and everybody could post in every neighborhood they wanted. Like there was no subscription. That helped us a lot because we just asked people to post in Nextdoor, their Facebook pages, or their groups, mom groups, stuff like that, and that was really big for us. So that gave us some traction. But the uh, well, biggest thing we've ever done was using Google Ads, hiring somebody in an agency. And when we did that, it was night and day difference. I mean, almost to the point where I didn't know. I was like, "Oh crap! I got to hire people. I can't do all this." And we got so much work that year. That very first year we did it, I was like, "I am never hiring another guy in my life." So I've been with the same guy since then, and I'll never fire him. He's terrific. So very honest and educated in his field too. So and he shoots you straight. If you're not if you're not in a good area, you don't have a good population, income ratios, whatever. He'll let you know, like, hey, it's probably not going to work in your area. So that's what I really love about him. So,
And
but
Casey, you're in a poor area where you're hang your lights up there, right? Up there in or Carmel.
yeah, it's very poor. Everybody drives like Lexus, Porsches, and every other person has a Tesla. I mean, it's ridiculous. I wish people would just grow up and get a job, but whatever.
I mean, you got the little couple $1 million houses there, and this ain't even California. This is Indiana, just so you know. So
Yeah, we're in a unique area because when people think of Indiana, think of cornfields, bean fields, and nothing but flat land. Like it's just nothing. But we're in a county that at one time was rated the fastest growing county in America. I mean, it's just huge, and they're just building these multi-million-dollar homes everywhere. Carmel's listed as one of the top 5 best places to settle down when you retire. So we're very, really fortunate where we are. A lot of income out here, a lot of work to be had, and they're building houses left and right. I mean, they're probably everywhere, but I mean, just neighborhoods are going up everywhere
yep,
and big houses. So
yeah. And so, what are some other things that you all think that we need to do to get prepared for this season so we are ready to rock and roll for this 2024 season?
So just kind of going. Oh, sorry, Dustin, you want to go?
Sorry, go ahead. I'll talk after you.
Okay, cool. So I wasn't sure how where you were going with that, but so we always send out an email to all of our clients early. We missed the boat. We wanted to get it done in July. We didn't. We got it done in August, so we were a little bit behind. But we send out that email letting everybody know we start installs first week of October. We give a 5% discount if somebody books early, schedules early. We're actually kind of toying with the idea of changing that up a little bit because I actually envy those guys that they kind of almost don't give their clients a choice. Like, hey, this is part of it. Can't get done in October. You can't get done in November. That's where we get all our new clients. So we're to that point now where we're growing substantially every year, and we can't handle it unless they get done in September, October. So that's the first thing we do. We send out 3 of those emails, and then if we don't schedule October all the way, we start making calls. Um, and then, yeah, same thing with EDDM, door hangers, yard signs, all that stuff. I mean, you have to do it all. You can't just pick one and do it. It's not going to work. So put your yard sign out after every job. Put door hangers up on 10 houses around every job. Put that yard sign at the beginning of the neighborhood. And then go ahead and do EDDM 3 times throughout the season, uh, back to back to back on these specific neighborhoods you want to work in. And your phone will blow up. So, and then referrals. That's what we love. They're free. So,
Go ahead, Dustin.
Dustin.
Yeah, so I agree right there with Casey too. It's crazy because when we first started, we didn't let our customers know about to get back on the list like in October. We were dumb. So I'm like, October is still kind of early. Let's wait until maybe like see if we can get close to Halloween. But I realized, yeah, you can let your customers know in July. That's how we do it. We send out July, and we just let people know. Now we're dumb because we give people 10% off. Like Casey said, there's others that don't do that. So if you're able to do that, that's great. But we've been doing a long time, and that's what our customers like, and they're letting us do it in September and August. So yeah, we give them 10% off, let them know, and we kind of do the same thing. We text them, and then we also send out a letter, and then we'll start calling as well. One other thing that you can do as well is get all your marketing ready, like you guys were saying. So I agree with Casey back in the day to kind of how I do everything is I test because every area is going to be different. I know in Utah where I'm at, they do not like signs. I mean, there's some cities that they have people out there just taking your sign down. Like you put it up, it's down. There's some cities, let's see, south of me that they don't care about signs. So we know that there's like 2 big cities south of us that you can put as many signs as you want, but you kind of have to know the area where it's good to keep up signs and where you can't. And again, you might have areas that they don't even care. So you probably figure that out. So you kind of test and you say, okay, next year we're going to really ramp it up there. The other thing, when you get in these calls, you find out where all the leads are coming to. And then once you kind of know that as well, you kind of see how many new jobs you're getting stuff. And then you obviously start ordering, like Casey said, if you haven't already ordered, you can start ordering product, getting all that ready for new jobs. So there's a lot of stuff to keep busy. So,
Oh yeah.
And not to wait to the end and try to do it all at once. And I've actually had some conversations with other people out there of not raising your prices, right? And you can sell it as that way of, hey, if you keep using us, we won't raise your prices, because I don't know if you noticed that gas has went up a lot, and everything else is going up. And so I actually had one person in my group show the inflation from 2017 to 2024 and how much it has went up. So he actually raises his prices every like 3 to 5%. I think it's 3% every year to stay up on the inflation side of things. And so there's definitely different ways to look at it. There's definitely more ways than one to skin a cat. And that's what's kind of funny about this group here is we got 3 different people here, and we kind of all do a little bit different at the end. eventually someday I will get Dustin to raise his prices over here. And, Casey, he is starting to raise his prices. So he's starting to see. And, here's the thing about Casey, right? Is there cheap guys in his area? Absolutely. One of the cheap guys I know is a good friend of mine, and he used to be in that area. And up to about 3 or 4 years ago, he was super cheap. And that's the thing until he started raising his prices. And that's what happens when you're able to raise your prices. He's also got another guy that I taught him 2 years ago. Last year, or 2 years ago, he did over $250,000 his first year. Last year, he did over $700,000 his second year. This year, he's planning on doing over $1 million in the exact same area of Casey. So there's all different types of pricing. There's all different types of ways of doing things. And that's the cool thing about Christmas lights and running your own business is you can do whatever you want to do. And the goal here is we're trying to help you take action. I was actually watching something, and I think the biggest reason why people don't succeed at the Christmas light business is it's consistency. Whatever you're going to pick, be consistent at it. It ain't got to be the best. It ain't got to be perfect. It's got to be consistent. And when you're consistently doing the things that you need to do, you will find out that you will grow and scale and keep going. Because what you think that's perfect and you won't put it out because it's not perfect, you'll never put it out because it's never going to be perfect. When you first started, Dustin, did you do everything perfect when you first started out?
Absolutely. Just kidding. No, of course not. Yeah, when I started out, I was trained by a guy that was getting out of the business, and he basically everything he taught me for the most part, we don't use today because it was all bad. So he actually is crazy. I bought this business having no idea there was like 30 accounts to it, and he used nails. So this is how we did it. Everything was done by nails. No kidding you. So I thought that's how you're supposed to do it. So we had nails in everybody's houses and rock. It was crazy. That's how we did it. They looked really cool. We'd go around all the windows and everything, and it was all nail jobs. And I thought that's how it was done. And then I realized I'm looking around like, what are these clips? Like, and at the time they were the ones that always fall off, multi-purpose ones, but that was night and day different than nails. So I was all excited about using those. But yeah, most of his jobs were nail jobs, and yeah, so you learn a lot. You learn what to do and what not to do. So for sure.
So, and that's when you had to be smart and know actually how to run electric because you could only run 130 C9s and you were at 2 amps.
Yes, we had that nightmare, and it was always me figuring out because my guys would never want to figure it out. So yeah, I was always doing smart jobs.
So where would you find enough electricity to be able to do these houses if you had to find 2 or 3 different outlets?
You would go look at the breaker panel box and pull wherever you could. So yep, you go in there and find out. Oh, we have, if the garage is on its own circuit, we'll take the garage and outdoor outlet. And sometimes you go inside a window, whatever you had to do. So yeah, it was, LEDs changed everything. A lot of these guys don't know how it was back in Casey. I think that was before your time too, the incandescent bulbs, huh? So, but yeah, it's fun to think about, and all those people that have been around for a long time, we can laugh about. I actually still have, I mention this every time, I have over 2 million incandescent bulbs. And I had a guy, one of my big customers in Missouri, he reached out to me. He says, do you know anybody that wants all my incandescent bulbs? And I said, well, I already have a lot. But yeah, he has 2 pallets of them, which I wish I only had 2 pallets of them. But yeah, I still have a lot of incandescent bulb guys. So let me know if you want a really good deal.
And our friend Bob, he has a whole container full of incandescent minis.
Yes.
So if you need any minis or C9 bulbs for any movie shows that you might be doing, they can get you covered. So
yes, and if anything, they're fun to throw off and let them pop. So they make a big explosion if you haven't heard those before. So, but yeah, it's fun. So the Christmas light business is really good, and mentioning to raise your price is important. And even above that, I always say, look at what your man hours are. To me, I run my business by man hours. So I always like to get businesses that you have the least amount of employees. And if you do have the employees, you make the most amount of money. So I'm huge on man hours, how much man hours you're making per job. So you can see each year how long it's taken. And then, Do we want to raise our rates or not? And so that's kind of how I do it. And we try to do, we're around $500 a man hour. So at my low prices, we're making $500 a man hour. So it's really good money still. And it's probably our most cash flow business where just, you can collect a lot of cash that doesn't go anywhere after. So
Let's talk about that a little bit about bringing in a lot of money, because this is something that a lot of people don't realize is you will bring in a lot of money at the end of the year. And this is kind of back to having a good CPA, so that way you're not paying a lot of taxes on it. And so that's called tax planning. And if you do it in January, it's called tax fraud, and that's when you go to jail. And so what are some things, and we always talk to our CPA and about this time of year, September, October, so that way we can start planning what we need to do with this large sum of money coming in, so we're not having it at the end of the year where we got to figure out what we need to do to get rid of it or to pay a boatload of taxes. What are some things that you all do to try to lower your tax burden a little bit for this big sum of money coming in?
I want to hear
Uh,
from Casey first.
oh, we got a couple shell accounts overseas, so we just
Yeah.
over there. Yeah. No, we honestly, if I'm being honest, we're not real good at that. We've just kind of, I mean, I think I've probably bought a truck every single year, right at the end of the year, or something, along the lines of that. But other than that, we haven't been real good at planning for that. So we do end up with, carrying over a large sum of money over into the next year. Um, but my CPA is really good. I mean, I don't really want to share like what we pay in taxes off of what we do in revenue, but
Right.
it's amazing. I mean, we're really fortunate, and we're able to write off a lot. I mean, he finds write offs that I don't know about. So
And that's the most important thing, is finding a good CPA.
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
So
and the good ones are hard to find. It's taken me a long time. I actually did trade work for a CPA. Don't do that. I learned the hard way. And she was awesome. She was one of my clients, and we're like, hey, let's do trade. This was 20 years ago, and I realized that she was more on to people with personal, like just doing personal taxes, which is completely different. But yeah, you need to find someone that is more specialized with small business. And if you find the right one, they're also going to help you. If you find the right one, they're going to help you through the year every quarter too, and that you can kind of tell them what your plans are, and then they're going to say, hey, make sure you do this or that, because there's always little things that you can do. If you have a CPA that just wants to talk to you once a year, you probably have the wrong one.
100%.
So the next thing I want to hit on is, since we're here, this is probably one of the hardest things. I know it was one of the hardest things for me. So I started my business in 2012, and it was 2016 before I was able to get off the truck. And so getting off the truck, because we always think nobody can do it as good as myself. We will say, and a lot of times the words we use will be self fulfilling prophecies at the end of them, that there's no good people out there to hire. There's nobody that will do it as good as I can. And basically, we are telling our brain, and we are filling the prophecy that we're telling our brain, that we can't find good people. But I promise you, there is good people out there. And once you start and allow and trust them, and just let them, finally someone that told me, as long as they do it as 80% as good as you are, that's freaking awesome. And that's actually the buy back your time book, is if they can do it as 80% as good as you are, it's freaking awesome. And so that is something that was one of the hardest things for me to do, to get off the truck. Like I say, it was 2016 before I was able to get off the truck all the way, and it was the best thing I ever did, because there's guys that are way better at the roofs than me. There's guys that can pressure wash way better than me. Did they screw up? Sure they did. Do I screw up? Sure I do. Nobody's perfect, and that's the thing that you got to learn, and you learn together. And that's my take on getting off the truck. I want to hear what Dustin's take is getting off of the truck.
Yeah, so I read some really good books growing up, and I realized that at the time I didn't know for sure if I was going to keep my business or sell it. So I always thought, well, if I sell it, how much is a business worth if I still have to be a part of it? So I had a mentality maybe 15 years ago that I wanted to basically have all my businesses run by themselves for the most part. I'm in there to make sure that the most important things like financial, big decisions, stuff like that. But I didn't want to be doing, how I looked at it is how much is my hour worth for myself. And so I didn't want to do like $50 an hour jobs, $100 an hour jobs, vice versa. You know what I mean? So that was kind of, and Jason mentions this a lot. It's about mindset. So the first thing I realized is I want to make sure that my businesses can run. If I go somewhere, it's going to be running just as good, and sometimes even better. Sometimes when I go on vacation, guys, it's actually better. They like get a lot more stuff. I'm not like, I don't know if they're scared of me or whatnot, but things run really good when I'm gone. It runs really good, and so you want it. So what I did is you start. So what you have to do, and really to be able to do this, you can't just say, okay, guys, I'm going to hire these people and they're going to do it. That's what I think a lot of people do wrong is they just realize, okay, I'm going to hire some people to hang Christmas lights and I'll throw them in for a day and train them and they'll be good. See, so you're throwing things at it and that's never going to work. You have to be able to have systems. And what I mean by that, you have to know how to do exactly what you're doing and then train someone how to do that and then have them train. So right now, I have a really good trainer. He's actually my younger brother now. It used to be Chit Chat Chad that we always call Chad, but he's kind of retired from the Christmas light business. He's still with us, but doing other things because he's almost 60 years old now. But my youngest brother, who was a nurse and still is, I guess, a nurse. He's not practicing right now, but he's been with me for 5 years. He's actually training them exactly how I trained him, and they're just being all stars. So again, you train someone that can take your knowledge and you kind of have to figure it out and then you can have them train your employees. And that's kind of how we do with everything I do. Every business I do, I have to train them personally. If you expect them to learn by themselves just trying to figure things out without any knowledge, good luck. So you train someone. You only have to train one person, guys. Really good. And if you want, you can do videos. There's a lot of things to do with Loom, a lot of other things, but really it comes down to basics of training one person, everything you know, basically on that task, and then having them rinse and repeat. And that's all it is. So if you keep doing that and then you treat your employees good, they're going to keep staying. And then we're going to attract people, their friends that want to work with us because you're treating them good. They're like, man, this is a cool company. All you're doing is talking about how much you love your work. Not too many people do that. So if you guys come around, I think Jason mentioned this last time, all of my employees are like way happy. I don't know if you noticed that too, Casey, but they're just, people are like, are you kidding? Your guys are like all happy working and everything. It's because they're treated well. And then you have to, like Jason said, trust them and don't micromanage them because people want freedom. And then they're also attracting in future employees for you because when they're around the table, everybody's telling how much they hate their job. And they're like, actually, I really like my job. And, it kind of goes from there. But yeah, just train someone, just work on one thing, getting someone trained and then having them train. And then again, you want to make sure that you're able to, if you want to, not have to do those things, if that's your choice. Let me mention one more thing. I have this friend of mine that actually came in for an order today. He washes windows and he's my age. He does it completely opposite, but this is his, and that's what Jason said earlier. He runs his business that it's only him, but guess what? He charges more than anybody that I've ever heard of, anything he does. And he says, if you want me, he says, sorry, he's charging like a lot of money. I think he's charging like $15 a foot for lights, and he's charging, $10 a pane per side. It's crazy, but he's able to get it because it's one person. He's bringing $400,000, by himself, and he doesn't have any expense, but that's how he likes it. And he dealt with employees and he never liked it. So he told me he has freedom. And then end of October, he's done. He doesn't work after October. He doesn't do Christmas lights after October. So he kind of does his own schedule, and then he takes off for 3 months and does other things. So There's lots of
Now,
ways to skin a cat.
the biggest thing I would say is systems is your key to getting off of the truck and having systems in place. And everybody has systems. They're just not always good systems. So that's the trick to do it. I mean, you go look at Chick-fil-A, right? They actually got the thing that you sit down and watch videos, you take tests, and that's part of their systems. And guess what? My pleasure. I guarantee you that's part of their system, that you know that you got to say this, and when do you say it, and how do you say it, and how many times do you say it, right? Because that's part of their system that they have to make sure that it gets done. So now we're going to move to Casey, who is struggling to get off the truck, and just kind of give some, because I know not everybody is getting off the truck, and I do know this is a hard thing to do. And so I just kind of want to hear some of Casey's thoughts on ways that you're working to get off of the truck.
Yep. So I'm off the truck completely in Christmas lights. When we talked earlier, I don't think I said that. I'm still on the truck when it comes to washing. So I've got a crew that does all my window cleaning, gutter cleaning, house washing, stuff like that. But when it comes to like paver restoration or fence restoration, stuff like that, I'm still on the truck, mainly because I just have a little bit of trouble letting go. I still micromanage a little bit. I'm trying to get better about that. I hired somebody that like her sole purpose is to be my assistant. And so whenever we're taking pictures and videos on jobs and stuff like that, that's part of it. It's like, hey, this is actually not just a video for YouTube. This is a video for training. And we're going to give it to her and she's going to put it and catalog it. And then we're going to use an app that everybody has on their phone that they can go through and look up the videos, how to clean a deck, how to clean a fence, whatever, and just try to build systems like that to make it easier. But the truth is, they're all getting better. Like the crew that does the washing, they're getting better, getting smarter. It's the chemical ratios, it's the pressure, it's just a few things like that, and then occasionally not, getting bleach on a stained door, like stuff like that. We just I'm replacing a window here soon that was broken last week. Like whatever. I mean, it's just little things, but it's not too bad. It's getting pretty good with them. It's getting better. They're really teachable. When it comes to Christmas lights, I'm off the truck completely. I do estimates. We're typically right now. I tell you what, I did about 20 estimates between Thursday and Friday, and it was 97 degrees out. So doing Christmas light estimates when it's 97 degrees out was crazy. I was like having a hard time even comprehending that. But um, yeah, so my guys love hanging lights, and they're really good at it. And I found that the um, what happened was if I gave them leadership, so and instead of just saying like you're hanging lights and you're not just hanging lights, like you're the crew leader, like you're in charge of this, and you're going to get somebody to work with you, and you're in charge of that person as well. And I want you to kind of mold it and develop your own system of way you hang lights. Like you don't have to hang them the same way I do. You don't. If you want to use the pitch hopper instead of the goat, go for it. Whatever, and just giving them that leadership and that autonomy, and just letting them go. And sure, there's mistakes, Dustin. Right? There's mistakes and whatever, but they get it. Like they're getting it. They're doing a fantastic job, and I pretty much don't have to. I don't babysit them. I don't need to on Christmas lights. The only things that we ever have problems with is tools left behind. Like we do have that. Like we get a call, hey, you guys left a 4-foot painter's ladder in my yard. Like, oh, that's so silly because now you got to drive back over there, pick it up. Like we could have done a job in the time that you did that. But they're fantastic. I've got 5 full-time guys right now. I've had 8 at one time. Um, we'd like to hire a few more guys this year because we'd like to run 3 crews instead of 2. But um, yeah, as far as Christmas lights, no, it's a smooth, well-oiled machine. It's the washing side of things that I need a little bit of.
Now,
I
do
need
you
to let.
have Now, do you have someone you want to run 3 crews? Do you have someone that's getting all the stuff ready for the next day, or is that who's doing that? Or are they doing it themselves?
So we get there at 7 a.m. and I provide coffee, breakfast sandwiches, water, whatever for everybody. So they get there. they can get their breakfast, whatever, coffee, and then like we're gonna stage the jobs. So if they've got 6 jobs or whatever, what each crew's got 6, 7 jobs, we'll stage those for them. So when they come in, it's on a pallet. They just take all those and they put them on their trailer. Go do their jobs or whatever. When they come back at the end of the day, we're going to have somebody. They're going to take their stuff off, but we're going to have somebody specifically going in there and saying, "All right, you need 2 more boxes of bulbs or minis, or you need some suction cups or whatever." So we have like these lists that they'll be able to go off of and restock the trailers. What are you laughing about?
Dustin over here is ready to explode about taking so long to get out of the in the morning. Dustin, how long are your guys allowed to be before they got to leave the shop when they get there?
Yeah, Jay or Casey didn't come to our advanced training, did he?
No.
No, I've already talked to Casey about that. And you know what's fun is everybody can do it different. You know, Casey, I think there's going to be his employees that will work just because he provides breakfast. I had a friend that ran a very successful company. He sold it for a lot of money just recently. He's a lot younger than me. He's only like 32, and it was in the 7 figures that he sold it for. Very successful person that lives by me. And he kind of had Casey's approach where it was more like they came in and they had, you know, just little things going on. Because he came over to mine and he's like, oh my goodness, man, they're already working and my guys are still talking. But again, he just paid a little extra money doing that. But again, I wanted to get him out. Yeah, so how I kind of do it, it's a little different than Casey. It's actually completely different. Um, I have places all around my property, and I have them split up so they're no talking. Because I realize if they're talking, they're not hanging lights. So I'll have them come. I have one crew come at 7, and then the one over on the far side over here 7:15, and then 7:30, 7:45, and 8. And it kind of splits them up that way. And then there's people that come every other day because they load up a lot. And I allow all my guys take the vehicles home. People think I'm crazy that way, but it's just one of the perks that they can just start from their place and go right to the job. And then they come back, and like every day or two, they come back and fill up and keep going that way. But it works out really good. I noticed that, you know, we can get a lot more jobs done that way. But again, if Casey's been doing this and he takes it away, it's like giving candy to a baby and taking away, they're not going to be very happy.
Right. Right.
You know?
No, that's the only reason why I was laughing, just because I knew I knew
We
what
do.
Dustin's answer was going to be.
Yeah, don't be telling Shane. Shane's over there, one of my guys, my brother actually, is over with Shane right now. But with Casey, don't be telling him what you do for your. Maybe he's already seen what you do, Casey.
Yeah. So
Casey's
yeah,
Shane's gonna work with him now. So
yeah, we're working on the. It's an office, but it's gonna get the fridge, the coffee pot, the microwave, and everything in there. Um, he sees it, so I think he knows. But this is going to be kind of new. So what's new is that like we typically haven't done this, but this is kind of new. I would just want to try it this year. But the other thing is, we're a part of Lights at Wholesale now, so we're going to have other things that need to be done in the morning other than just loading the trailers and stuff like that. So we're gonna kind of figure that out. It's all brand new to us. We got our guys installing, but I got somebody, we're shipping out orders all the way till 6:30, 7 p.m. at night. So I'm kind of figuring that out right now. So I don't know 100% like that we're going to stick with what we do, how we're doing it. But my goal is for our guys to start on their first job by 8 o'clock. Um, and if they get that, the sooner you get started, the sooner you get off work. We all have families, we all have kids, we're married, most of us anyway. So, I want everybody to like be finished by 5 o'clock and get home to your family and enjoy your evening. So that's kind of why we want to start by 8 and get there at 7. It's it's probably a little lenient on the lenient side. But we'll just see. I mean, I think it's going to work out. So
I'm going to hit some questions here so that way I know people have asked. When you're pre-bulbing the rolls, are you adding the clips too? How do you handle the shingles versus gutters while pre-bulbing? Most people are going to do the bulbs and the clips, and the gutters are going to point out and the roof is going to point up. If you want them all to point out, then you're probably not pre-bulbing, and you're going to have to unbulb and unclip them. So is that pretty much how you do it, Casey?
So last year that's how we did. Well, yeah, last year and the year before, I think, yeah, we did all the best clips, and we just same clip. If each spool, we did 10 spools, and we just loaded them up. Um, but in the past, we've done shingle tabs too, and we might try that again. We'll see, because I do like the bulb pointed out, like all of them pointed out. I do like that look. It's just shingle tabs take a little longer to install, so that's why we didn't want to go that route. But yeah, we'll sometimes like do 500 feet of gutter clips, and then 5,000 feet, sorry, of gutter, and then 5,000 feet of shingle tabs. And then when we get to the house, we take the tote out of the gutter and take a tote out of the shingle. One guy that's doing the gutters, he grabs from that, starts hanging. The other guy grabs from the shingles, and he starts hanging, and we'll do it that way. Um, but yeah, the past couple of years, it's just been the best clips only.
And why are they the best clips, Dustin?
You know why? Because we tested out everything. So the plastic on the best clips, guys, if you don't know, the plastics is the best out there. It just does not go bad. So it does not get brittle. The plastic lasts forever. We have clips that's been like 3 years south facing in Utah, and still they're not brittle. The other ones will shatter even after like 3 months in the sun. So with all the clips out there in our testing, it's been the best plastic out there. So really good. And then, as far as I know, I've never heard of even a clip breaking off. Have you had any best clips break off, KC? None of ours have ever broken off.
No, I mean you can bend them,
Yeah.
and that's it. I mean, and I show people too. Like I'm like, pull them out of the freezer, throw them on the ground, and stomp on them, and they're fine. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's the plastic
love them.
just is really amazing. And again, we go through in ours, it gets really cold and we get 2-3 feet of snow here, and it works good in hot climates and cold climates. It works really good, so that's why they're called the best clip.
I know
There.
Casey said how many employees he's had. Dustin, how many employees do you have installing lights?
So right now we only have nine. Well, yeah, 9 to 10 because 9 guys full time and then a tenth that comes in. So we really don't have a lot of employees. Again, we're more about efficiency. One of the things I realized about 6 years ago is I didn't want to grow my business. I mean, we are a pretty big business, but I didn't want to keep adding more and more employees. I like to keep things small, tight, and efficient. So I want to produce more work and then allow the guys to make more money. Because, like Casey said, most of the installers are family men that have families. Not all of them, but they have kids to provide for. They have houses to pay for, and I think just about most of our employees have really nice homes. So again, we pay our guys really good, but they have to be able to provide a living for themselves. If you can't provide that living, they're going to have to go somewhere else. So, and as long as they know that they can eventually get there, I realize, say, hey, if you're just starting out, you can get your employees and say, hey, we are planning on paying you more next year and then next year. So they know that there's a future for them. Employees are really good that way. They're willing to wait along. They're pretty loyal as long as they know that the direction's up. But if you're saying, hey, you're maxed out at $15 an hour or whatever it is, we're not going to be able to pay. They're going to probably go somewhere else.
Yep, I agree on that one. Let's see what other. I know we got a bunch of questions here. Have workers. Oh yeah, have workers work off of checklists before and after install and destall. Absolutely. I like company cam a lot, so that way you can take pictures of it, and then that way, even in the truck, as Casey loses equipment, you have pictures of. You make them take pictures of all three sides of the truck, so then that way they're looking at where that pike pole's supposed to go at, or where that $1,000 water fed pole that's supposed to be there before it gets off of there. You make sure that they're tying the ladders down, because I don't know if you've ever had a ladder come flying off of your truck. It's not a really good feeling when you look in the back mirror and you see it going across 2-3 lanes of traffic. It's probably one of the most scariest things you'll ever do. I don't know if I'm the only one that's ever done that. I doubt it, but I know it happens. So Um,
Just once. Oh
yeah, so that's how that works.
It usually only takes once too. Once you're like, oh my goodness, like yeah,
it's
yeah.
loud too.
It happened to me once when I started window washing. I had my dad's truck, and it was just leaning out. I didn't have a ladder rack or anything, and I just put his big spare tire on it. Isn't that crazy? And I was going on the free. It always worked good until one time this gust of wind came and it flew right off. I'm like, whoops. So yeah, that was
Our good old friend Paul Gardner. I buy products from Dustin Towns or ChristmasLights.io in October, year after year with no issues. Paul Gardner is the man. He came to one of my first outdoor Christmas light trainings. We were under a porch and it was raining, and it was probably the most miserable thing that I ever had done. It was pretty bad. We got Rick Newsy. Do you guys work year round? Yes, they do. Um,
yes.
Oh yeah.
Here's a question. This might be one of our last questions, and then we'll kind of go from here. Do you guys pay your employees hourly or flat rate per job or per job?
I don't know what Casey does, but we do piece rate, and there's pros and cons to it, but I think there's a lot more pros uh, because guys know that if they are efficient, they're going to be faster and they're going to make more money. If they realize they're just making the same much, it's hard to motivate that, especially if you're not on every job. Now, if you're on every job, you can get everybody motivated, but it's when you're not, and that's what we're talking about, getting off the truck, not have to be in the field. So yeah, so all of my crews, including all my permanent light crews, they're all on piece rate. That's how they like it. And we track those type of people. That like I hear Casey's crews are incredible as well, and whatever he's doing is working as well. But yeah, we do piece rate, and it works out really well.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't we do hourly plus obviously tips and commissions. So we try to encourage the guys if they get done early or whatever, want to knock on a couple doors or go talk to neighbors, and they land a job and they do that job like right then and there, that I give them a pretty good commission on that. And we just encourage that because it's oftentimes that, like, I think I give the crew 7 jobs and I'm like, that's going to take them all day, and then I get a call at 2:30, hey, we're done. It's like, well, crap, like, knock on some doors or something, go put some signs out, try to get another job and earn a 10-15% commission. So yeah, but we're Dustin, we'll talk about that too, because I'm interested in that. You call it piece rate, some people call it like a hybrid model where they do get hourly plus a certain percentage of how much they complete each day. I'm actually really interested in learning a little bit about that. So
Yeah,
Um,
I'll definitely tell you what we're doing.
yeah.
But one thing I wanted to say to Jason is a little bit about Casey. I know it was mentioned a little bit, but he is going to be running our location in Indiana. And this is pretty exciting because he has a 20,000 square foot building. It's a big building full of lights. And we're going to be able to now be able to hit every state, well, at least 40 plus states within 1 to 2 days of shipping time now. So once you place your order, you're going to be able to get your shipment within 1 to 2 days with most areas now. So it's going to be pretty exciting. A lot of people still don't realize that we have that location. We're shipping out of Utah and Indiana. It covers us pretty well. And Casey, the reason why we picked Casey is I've been watching him in the last few years. He's been one of my biggest customers buying lights. He's a very successful business. He's very humble, but he does very well, and he's very calculated, meaning like he knows he puts things together, and he's able to calculate things and make things happen. So I think it's going to be a huge success for everybody, for all the people that we sell to. You're going to be able to get your product faster. We're going to still provide free shipping with you guys. We're going to provide even better service now that we have Casey. We have a lot of people told us we have the best service, and we're just going to keep making it better and better. And we're going to help you guys run your businesses with business questions, with whatever you guys need. We're here to help you guys become successful. And that's where I think we're different, is we know how to do that. I'm running a multi-million dollar business, and we're going to be able to teach you guys little steps and little things that how you can be able to make more money in your business. And it's something that if I haven't seen, I know where to get the answer as well.
So if you want to come learn from us, you can learn permanent lights, Christmas lights, and marketing. It's a 3-day class. It's going to be in the Indianapolis store. I call it Indianapolis. I know it's not technically in Indianapolis, but that's Indianapolis. It's just outside of Indianapolis. In September 27th through the 29th. I always do it Friday through Sunday unless we're doing it in Utah, because Utah, they don't do nothing on Sunday. So everywhere else I do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so that way you guys can go. Friday will be permanent lights. Saturday will be marketing, sales, all that good stuff. And Sunday will be Christmas lights. Um, I made a prop the last time I was there to do the regular lights, which the permanent lights is, we kind of figured out watching Dustin and the way they've done it. I know they got other props, but it's really all about the cutting is for that there. So it's not the same for it. So you definitely want to check it out. It'll be, I promise you, I know one of the guys that's coming, and I guarantee you, if you don't laugh at least once at some of my jokes at him, I guarantee you, you will. It's my good friend Rick Moosey. I love having a good time with him. He loves technology, as I say that sarcastically. I know he'll be there. So make sure if you want to check it out, I put the link in there. You can go check it out at the in-person trainings that I have coming up. The biggest thing that make sure that you know your labor laws when working with independent contractors. Yeah, that's kind of a, I know a lot of people love doing the 1099s, but that's not probably the best way to do things. Just so you know, if they fall and get hurt, it can go bad, really bad on everybody. So that's how that works. But before we jump off here, any words of encouragement, Casey? We'll go with Casey first.
Yeah, I mean, we've grown every season by leaps and bounds. I mean, this is a fantastic business to get in. They're building homes left and right, so the work is there, the opportunity is there, and people love Christmas. They just love everything about it. So push through it, ask questions, go to the trainings, go to the physical trainings. But if you can't go to the physical trainings, go online and learn. Sign up for some classes and get educated. The My goodness, if I'd have just learned a little bit before I started, I mean, we'd be at double probably by now. I mean, I slowly grew because I didn't know any better, and then I ran into a few people who knew better and taught me, and we're just now here we are, and I'll never look back. I mean, I'll hang Christmas lights for the next 20 years. So, yeah, keep chugging. It's fun. It's a fantastic business to be a part of.
Dustin, what are some words of encouragement?
Yeah, I wanted to answer that guy's advice or that guy's statement about piece rate. I don't know if he was mentioned about piece rate, but what we do is we actually have everybody still clock in, because in Utah you still have to pay everybody minimum wage, and you have to prove that you're paying a minimum wage. Which, again, if we were just paying a minimum wage, they would be somewhere else. But we do have everybody clock in, and they just start at the first job or whatever, wherever they clock in if they come here first job. But yeah, words of encouragement. I just think that Christmas lights, like Casey said, it's just when you see how much you can make, and not only how much money you can make, but the lives that you're helping your customers. Like, they love Christmas. I was telling a guy the other day about, he was thinking about getting into it, and I said, what really is so cool is that Christmas lights every year for the customers do not get old. Like, they're looking forward to their kids are counting down, like, oh, do we get Christmas lights again? They're just so excited. And it's something that I think all of us in the world, at least in the United States and other places that believe in Christ, and even if you don't believe in Christ, you can still do it. But that we all come together and be able to celebrate something that we're kind of one in, that we like. It's just fun to have light and just that magic of Christmas with everything that brings up good childhood memories and all that. So I just say, just keep going if you're struggling, because it's, or if you're thinking about getting going, just get going. Come to one of the trainings. We're here to help you out. Casey here, Jason can help you. I can help you out. we have a lot of knowledge between the three of us, and we're really here to help you guys out. So reach out at any time, as long as it's not past midnight, unless you can call Casey on those late runs. So
Well, at midnight our time's only 10 o'clock is Dustin. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit on a question here. I know you've been commenting a lot out here, and this is what I'm going to say about you, Odin. Is you are young and you're in high school. I had a guy that last year did almost $20,000, and he was a junior in high school, and he actually came to one of my other Christmas light classes in the spring, and it was a landscape lighting class, and he brought his grandma up here because he couldn't rent the hotel without her, and so. I would just tell you that I know you're trying to be cheap and trying to do Home Depot and that, but what I'll tell you is don't do that. That's not. I mean, it's okay to get started, but now that you know, the best thing that you can do is go out there and start doing it. You say pay cash, and if someone gets hurt, if someone falls off a roof because you're not, you haven't done proper training, or if you hire someone and it's not, you will never own a business again, and you be sued for a lot of stuff. And I know sometimes when we're young we think we know everything. I promise you don't know everything. I don't know everything. Dustin doesn't know everything, right? We're still learning as we go. If there's anybody in this room says they know it all, I probably wouldn't be with them, because we don't know it. There's so much stuff that changes every year. If Dustin knew everything, he wouldn't have 2 million bulbs of C9 incandescent bulbs in his attic up there that's just sitting there. And let's just say there's a couple $100,000 sitting up there just in bulbs. So if he knew everything, he wouldn't have done that. And so don't ever think you know it all. And when you're and I'm being heart to heart, man, you got a long way ahead of you. And if you just pay attention a little bit and reach out to people and ask questions, and when I say charge $8 to $12 a foot, I'm not joking. When I say charge 40, $50 a strand, I'm not. That's what you charge. You don't go buy cheap crap that's going to get you callbacks, because that's what's going to happen. You don't buy cheap crap that you got to throw it away because it's not going to work next year. And so that's why we sell product, right? Dustin's SMD bulbs, or whatever he's going to call them, I'm going to call them the best bulbs, got a 5-year warranty on them, right? So you ain't got to worry about it. And so I know other people will go buy bulbs because they're cheaper, but are they really cheaper in the end? When year 2 you go put them up and you got 3 callbacks to that house, that you got to go back to that house to fix bulbs because you went cheaper, and it's not cheaper in the end, because when you go do a callback, you're taking an hour or 2 hours to do that callback instead of installing a $2,000 house. So do you want to install a $2,000 house, or do you want to do a $5 bulb because you saved 5 cents, 10 cents because you went cheap? So just I've got a lot of young guys. Like I haven't seen them on here tonight, but you know, I can't even think. I've been hard on names tonight, but he's in Texas and he's 24 years old and he's bought in 6 apartment complex, or he's bought 6 door. He's actually at 10 doors. He's got 10 doors of apartments, and it's bringing in money, and he's bringing in $300,000-$400,000 a year. You can do the same thing. And even if you're young, don't you I wish I was getting the information that I had when I was 20, or 16, 17. I was 32, 33, 34, and I'm still 44, still learning some of this stuff that I give to you all freely, a lot of it. And so just don't waste that opportunity. I promise you, you can do amazing things if you just take the information and run with it. And I know a lot of times people are like, "But I'm young." You know, the Imagine of the book Imagine, and what is it? Imagine of Thinking Big. It was written in the 50s, and you can think that you're too old, you can think that you're too young, but it's up to you. You're not too old, you're not too young. You can do amazing things. So Don't sit there. I mean, I know you've been talking a lot on here and I've been watching it. It's just about, yeah, Tristan is who I was talking about. I couldn't think about who it was. It's just about getting out there and doing amazing things, and you can do amazing things, and that is what I want you to think about. I love when I go into class. Actually, our last class, it was kind of funny. All the old people were sitting on the right side of the room, and there was one line of all the young people sitting down the room. I love when young people come into my classes because I can help them do way more amazing things than I can a 40 or 50-year old. Why? Because they got a lot more time to be able to evolve and be the Wesley Bloom that did $3.5 million, right? At 25, 26, or I think he's at 27 years old. That is freaking amazing. In a pressure washing business, he did almost $2.7 million and 800,000 in Christmas lights. And he'll do more than that this year, I guarantee it. And so just don't waste your time of trying to do stuff cheap, trying to cheat through things, because in the end it's not going to do anybody any good, and it's not going to do you any good either. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Like I say, it is definitely, every day is a school day. Never stop learning. And this is a guy that's in his 60s right here. So don't ever stop learning, because when you stop learning is when you stop growing, and when you stop growing you start dying. And that's what I'd say about that. Anybody want to add anything to that? I know I went on for a rant, but I just felt like I needed to.
Yeah, just the fact that I started that way. So I start, and it's not, I didn't go buy lights. Like I let the homeowners buy their own lights for that 1 year because that's what I learned from them. So I know, like, it was every year it's a nightmare. And I mean, it's a difference between um, going to McDonald's for a hamburger or going to St. Elmo's for a hamburger. I mean, you get what you pay for. If you go cheap, it's going to look cheap, and you get your name on that. You want your name to be on something you're proud of. So just take pride in what you do, and you'll get there. I think it's easy to kind of have that mentality when you're young that it's a side gig, or I'm just making a little extra money, and I get that. But you really have a huge opportunity here. I don't know how old you are, 16 or whatever. You're in high school. You have a huge opportunity to be a millionaire before the age of 30 if you play your cards right, and you follow Jason's advice, and you keep doing what he tells you to do. So um, yeah, I mean, just make the plunge.
And the best thing you can do is invest in yourself. That is the best investment you can do, is invest in yourself. So with that, I hope you all have a great week. Get ready for these Christmas lights. They're coming. If you've been doing half of the marketing and stuff, your phone will start ringing. And so other than that, I hope you all have a great night, and we'll see you all later. You guys hang on, though.
See you guys.